In 2025, I made a lot of business mistakes. It cost me a lot of time, energy, and money. And I'm never going to make these mistakes again. Hopefully. Hopefully not. But, anyways, I want to use myself as a guinea pig. In today's video, I'm going to go over the three biggest mistakes I made. And I'm hoping that it can help y'all so y'all don't make these mistakes as well. As a credit repair business owner, you don't need more wins. You just need fewer bad decisions. I'm going over this shit that it's just my real life. It's not something that I read in a book last week or something. This is literally my real life, right? So, number one, I want y'all to avoid these mistakes. So, number one was not working with attorneys for credit repair fulfillment fast enough. Those of y'all that know, I've been in the industry since 2021. I was doing the DIY litigation and all that in the beginning, but it wasn't until, 2025 where I got a solidified offer to where I'm able to even charge less. So it's just been more scalable. And what we got to realize is that business is about speed. So take notes as you're watching this video. If you get value from it, you can subscribe, like, do whatever you want to do. I know most of y'all that's watching this will not be subscribed. That's just how YouTube works. All right, so the reality, I wasted time doing DIY litigation by myself for clients in the past. I did get wins. If you look at, my channel, my clients I worked with, and they know, what it is. But it's like at what cost, when I can focus on high ROI activities like the funding, just bigger strategy sessions as far as what's going to take my business forward. So it wasn't a good use of my time. And if you're somebody that's a credit repair business owner or you're looking to start in 2026, I would definitely say focus on networking with attorneys as fast as possible or get with someone that has these connections. So I thought being hands-on, made me look more of like an expert, but it made me a bottleneck to my business. So, I could quote the laws all day. I can understand that, okay, you have to have this cause of action and all that. But at the end of the day, I had to sit and look at myself and understand, okay, like, look, you're not an attorney, right? These attorneys, they go to school for this. Like, this is what they live, breathe, and do like all day. So, as a boss, as a business owner, if I'm looking at myself and, okay, my whole purpose and my whole goal is to not only impact lives, but get to the money, let me focus on the fucking money. You know what I'm saying? So, it doesn't necessarily mean I have to just be doing the litigation all day because it's time intensive and it takes time. I said it's time intensive and it takes time. It's the same shit, but y'all get what I'm saying. So the cost, every hour that I spent fighting the bureaus was an hour I wasn't using to build systems in my business or focusing on selling because sales and marketing, that's basically what it is when it comes to your business. So I need y'all to understand that, right? So I burn energy on legal tasks that, attorneys, they resolve it faster, they do it better, quicker, and without the stress that I'm going through. So as a result, I slowed down client results just by trying to do everything manually by myself in the fulfillment process. So the truth that I learned is that expert delegation, it leads to a better peace of mind for yourself and better results for your clients. So you have to look at it too. It's kind of, you can do what you want to do. But to me, I looked at it, it's kind of selfish for me to continue doing what I'm doing as far as trying to do the legal process and everything because I'm not gonna be able to, it's not scalable for me to be doing it for every single person. Attorneys, they already have the filings, litigation templates, the knowledge and the leverage. They literally do this shit, like I said. So your clients just care about the results. And oftentimes the attorneys are going to be able to get the clients a bigger check than you will by yourself. So keep that in mind. So my turning point, when I finally built these relationships with attorneys, pretty much now I have attorneys in every state. So no matter where you're at, if you are someone that's looking for that credit repair service, we're able to serve you that way in a better way to where we're not just disputing the whole time. So results got better. My offer became better. My stress definitely dropped. So I definitely have witnessed that. Check y'all blood pressure. Fulfillment became more predictable, and I could reduce pricing on credit repair because my time wasn't the constraint anymore. Since the attorneys were doing the heavy lifting for me, right? So that's why we're able to have $149 program, and it's not that okay. $149, like, why is this so cheap and affordable? Because we have a system in place versus when it was just in house everything as far as credit repair. we had to be charging, 1,500, 2,000, and all that just for the sake of our time because credit repair takes a long time, so you have to be compensated for that time. So the 2026 pivot, no more DIY legal work, focusing on the money, that's basically where we're at with it. And that's what I recommend you be at. This is what you want to do. So I focus on outcomes, not the paperwork. So I only build offers where professionals are going to handle fulfillment, and I just manage the client journey and the sales cycle. This goes for funding as well. If you monitor what I be doing and what I be talking about, I'm talking about, okay, I'm working with these attorneys, they're handling the fulfillment. I'm working in funding, but I'm working with BRMs that are helping me handle the fulfillment. I'm working with alternative lenders that are helping me handle the fulfillment. So everything is about systematizing everything that you got going on so you can buy back your time and work on your own skills that are going to be bigger movers. Things like sales, things like putting out content. Content is part of sales, right? Because as I'm recording and talking to you, everything is about sales. It's like I'm letting you know what it is. And yeah, that plays into the sales cycle, the nurturing aspect. So, lesson for you, I would say is focus on leverage and delegate where you can. And then don't let doing yourself cost you years of growth. That's the biggest thing that I would say. And then go work with attorneys for fulfillment or work with someone that has the connections because you can do credit repair all day. I've been there. I've been there trying to scale it and everything, but you just got to understand that there's smarter ways to do things. I just realized I have everything over here. Man, y'all cheating, but it's all good. All right. So number two, trying to scale trying to scale credit repair for too long instead of pushing business funding. That was the second big mistake that I made within my business. So this has pretty much been my biggest pivot. I've been going back and forth with over the last couple few years. But this year made it more crystal clear. Because really I got started as far as where my mindset changed closer towards business funding. I want to say this was like maybe end of 2022, like when I left my job, slash 2023. So let's say last 2 years or so. So the reality, I've literally said it to myself multiple times. I've said it here on YouTube as well. I need a quick credit repair by itself. I need to focus on business funding. It's like my subconscious has been telling me to continue to do it, right? So, like I've said, I've analyzed my clients and I saw that business funding led to faster wins, higher ROI, less headaches, better clients in most cases. And I realized that credit repair clients are, well, I've been known this. I realized again, credit repair clients are less sophisticated buyers. It's harder to monetize and slower to ascend, right? Versus business funding, obviously, if you're getting these people approved these high limits and stuff, they obviously have money, you know, versus I'm not saying every credit repair client is just broke or poor or starving, but y'all get what I'm saying. So this is a business. So you have to think like a boss and base this purely on logic. We could be like, oh, man, you've been doing credit repair all this time. You should just stay in that thing, that box and all that. People love to put you in a box just because they see you as a certain thing. But you're only watching this video because obviously, you know me for that, but you don't know. Maybe I'm the best soccer player in the world. Maybe I'm better than Messi. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm the best football player or something like that. So one thing I'll say too, if you're a credit repair business owner right now and you're thinking like, damn, I don't know if I want to make that shift, you don't have to be put in a box. I do multiple things, right? So just understand that as well. That's just on like a personal brand type of thing, but do what's best for you. I'm just letting you know what happened within my business and what I'm going to be doing moving forward. If you want to focus on the money, cool. If you don't, then stay in a box. So for many years, I tried to scale low margin, slow turnover service like credit repair instead of leading with business funding and monetizing high ticket outcomes. Yes, we were getting like 1,500, $2,000 per client, 3,000 per client sometimes, but the thing is, business funding is more scalable, So our 2026 pivot is having funding at the front end, and then business owners at the front end. So my lesson for you is to focus on business funding as your flagship offer, credit repair as a downsell when it's needed. And then obviously the system that I'm telling y'all to create, you have those team of attorneys that's helping you make it a scalable system. So it's like if you're really paying attention to this video, I'm essentially getting y'all away from just being in the trenches, sending letter after letter after letter, and that's like all that's your highest ROI skill. You want to have systems in place where you have, attorneys helping you, you have more focus on the funding, things like that. And then focus on building relationships with BRMs for smooth fulfillment or get around someone that has a BRMs. So, number three, trying to scale one-on-one mentorship before I had a scalable model. So that was a mistake that I made as well. So in 2024, I had a group mentorship program, but then 2025, I wanted to do something different because I saw the people I worked with closely more tended to have a better results. So that's why I did the whole one-on-one thing. But I'm seeing issues with that as well. So my 10K one-on-one mentorship is powerful, of course, but I felt trapped by my own time since I already run my own business. I have the Cat Credit University I'm running as well. So I just have a bunch of shit going on to where it was just kind of stressful. So 10K for my one-on-one time, when I can use my time to build my business with systems to make the same amount and more in record time became a bottleneck because obviously you look at it like, okay, you get one client 100K. The work that it takes to get that client 100K and get paid 10,000, it's not as much work as it is to have a one-on-one 10K program. 90 days or you're working with them and you're helping them, build, change their mindset, things like that. So the 10K one-on-one mentorship like became a bottleneck in a sense. And if you pay attention to my videos, I started this in I want to say it was around June of this year. So as I got students in, I was seeing like, oh shit, this is not as scalable as my 2024 mentorship where I had a group and people can do shit on their own time. So I had to just sit back and realize that, okay, obviously my goal with mentorship is extra credit money, right? Because obviously I have my business and other things going on. Mentorship is extra credit money. So I had to look at it like, okay, if I'm gonna be a mentor, it has to make sense. Even though I know like, okay, one-on-one people get the best results, I have to understand that it's about my time too. So I'm looking at it like, okay, maybe I should pivot back to the group setting and still do one-on-one for people that are super serious. I just have to screen a lot harder for the people that do the one-on-one with me. So yeah, I realize it doesn't scale even though you make money. So like I said, I reflect on my 2024 group mentorship. If you go to all the client case studies on my YouTube, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I just felt like it wasn't scalable for my own time. Cash is nice, but fulfillment, check-ins, hand-holding, bottlenecks, that kills momentum. So my 2026 pivot, like I said, one to many selling, systems, delegation, community monetization. So 2026 is the year of leverage revenue, not hand-holding revenue. That's what it is for me. And my lesson for you, if you are a mentor or you're looking to do mentorship for people, I would consider your time and weigh doing group versus one-on-one. Me as someone that's done both, I'm leaning more towards going back to group, right? Because my time, I'm so busy running my own business. So yeah, figure out what you want to do. All right, so I said three, but I want to add a fourth one. So number four, I delegated sales too fast before I mastered it myself. So this is one of the biggest things I saw this year. So the reality is I assumed that I could outsource my sales engine before I became the engine myself. So I let appointment setters and closers handle the whole sales cycle too fast for my business. I basically disconnected from the objections, language, pain points, psychology of my own market because I didn't want to deal with poor people. That's just me being fully transparent. Those of y'all that understand, I don't have the patience to deal with poor people. But the thing is, I still don't have the patience to deal with poor people. But that doesn't mean I don't have to focus on selling. I can focus on sales and a different ICP and a different business I own. So just keep that in mind. That's why I'm saying like I delegated it too quickly because I didn't want to be around the poor. So what did this cost me? So I stopped sharpening the most transferable high income skill on earth, which is sales. Sales is the biggest skill. If you don't take nothing from this video, I want y'all to understand that sales is the biggest skill. If you have a credit repair business, if you have a funding business, if you have neither of those, you still have to be good at sales if you want to succeed in life. Everything is sales. If you're talking to a girl, right? If you're a dude, I think most of y'all is men watching my videos. If you're talking to a girl, right? You have to have some type of sales skills to get her. A lot of y'all are married. you have to have some type of sales skills to get your wife, right? So keep that in mind. I couldn't coach my team as effectively because I hadn't mastered the live reps yet. And then my numbers became dependent on someone else's consistency, not mine. So I had a wake up call. The fastest pivots and biggest checks in my business came from me selling, not outsourcing. And on top of that, too, y'all got to understand YouTube is such a powerful sales engine because a lot of times I'll hop on calls with y'all and y'all have already been nurtured by my YouTube videos. So you already know, like, and trust me. So technically, I don't have to be the best salesperson, but it helps to be a good salesperson. So that's why I like to do sales where the person doesn't know me technically, if it's a different business I got. But I held back in it and I felt kind of rusty until I got in the flow again. So the truth that I learned, sales shows up everywhere, right? Like I said, credit repair, funding, roofing, mentorship, SaaS if you're selling SaaS, even job interviews. When I got my job as a chemical engineer, this is back in the day. I retired from my engineering job in 2022. So back in the day when I graduated college, I had to apply sales in order to convince that company to give me the job, right? Part of it was connections too. But yeah, having connections is sales. So if you can sell, you can restart, you can pivot, or you can rebuild any business model. So my 2026 pivot, never delegate a skill you haven't mastered or spend enough time doing. So I'm gonna obviously keep my setters and closers, but I need to continue to stay dangerous as well, not for the sake of just my credit repair funding business, but just other ventures I got going on, right? So sales becomes a career-proof skill, not just a task to hand off to somebody. And the lesson for you, master sales before you outsource it. Master sales before you outsource it. Master sales before you outsource it. I'm letting y'all know sales is very, 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 very important, right? If you can sell, you can survive. You can sell, you're going to survive in the economy. That's crazy. If you can't, you're depending and hiring great talent is not the easiest thing to do. I just need y'all to realize that. So I got to be transparent, right? With everything I said in this video, I do have to be transparent. If you're still with me, then I appreciate you. So I'm thinking about starting a new group mentorship program where I'll basically be helping y'all with the resources that helps fix all these mistakes I made. Because the way I view it, you don't necessarily need a new course. It's just that you need resources, if anything. So this will be to help like all these stuff that I talked about. So having the access to attorneys I work with so that your offer becomes better and more scalable, and that's going to be less stress for you, right? So getting direct access to my attorneys, having access to the BRMs I use, as well as alternative lender connections for the fulfillment of the funding offer. Keep in mind, this is just an idea. I don't know if I'm gonna do all of this because it depends on it depends on y'all and the interest for it and then have access to the tactics on how I built and grew my email list into a nurturing sales asset. In my last video, I was talking about how I grew my email list, and I want to give the keys to that for those of y'all that are serious and not curious, right? So this is an idea I'm thinking of doing. I don't know if I'm gonna do it, but like I said, it's dependent if y'all find a value in it, right? So I still have my one-on-one 10K program. Like I said, for those of y'all that are super serious, it's just that I feel like it's not as scalable just because, I do have other stuff going on. So I'm thinking a group mentorship again might be a good way to serve as many people as possible. And I was just thinking about doing that just $1,000. I don't know if I don't think that's life-changing money for y'all to just go homeless or anything. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking to put us all in a private group chat and then we just build together as a unit. So yeah, if that's something y'all think would be beneficial to you, then you can definitely click the link in the description, join my free school group, and then DM me in there. Just be like, oh, I'm interested in that group mentorship program. If we get enough interest, then we'll do it. If not, then cool. Like I said, this may or may not happen. I'm just thinking out loud on how I can add more value to y'all heading into 2026. So if that's something you think would be valuable to you, like I said, join my free university and then send me a message and then we'll figure it out from there. But hopefully, regardless of you investing or not, hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully you don't make the mistakes that I made. And I look forward to not making these mistakes anymore as well. And yeah, with that being said, y'all have a blessed one.